So shine, so shine, shine bright. So shine, so shine, shine bright.
You're always welcome here. And I'll tell you more about that later.
Okay.
There's no ocean view or anything, but there's,
Oh, no worries.
tennis. If you play tennis, we'll play tennis. Okay.
I don't, but my daughters.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Here we go. I'm going to record. Welcome to this Soul Shine presentation. We are so grateful for you joining us in this beautiful solstice window. This is day 2 of our event, and we are starting with a very special conversation and meditation with Grace Galzagorry. She has been working with the cosmic divine feminine frequencies, the cosmic mother, for so long now in her own healing journey. And she's here to share with us the importance of slowing down, dropping in, and allowing ourselves to receive the nurturing frequencies of this miraculous time. Hi, Grace. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Hi, Lorraine. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It really is such a joy just to see you and to be with everyone at the solstice. It's so important for us to gather and honor the mother and honor what's happening here on this planet. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we have a beautiful meditation with you that absolutely does allow us to drop in and calm the nervous system and center in, because this does allow us to expand into the essence of who we are. Let's start here by talking about this time of the solstice. This is such a powerful gateway. What is happening? Why is this so important now, right ahead of the holiday season, to slow down in such a way?
Well, I know it's actually a good reminder for everyone at the holiday season to slow down, but it's really a bigger message than that, in the sense that it feels like this is a transition doorway, and that this really is a choice point in many ways, and that we are making choices now to embody the new, like the larger wholeness of who we are. And those little buds are just coming forth. And if we keep doing the old habits and the ways we've been living and the belief systems we have that we're limited and that we can't do, we're gonna squash those buds. So in order to grow those, I mean, nurturance is important on 2 levels. One is to relax and heal the nervous system and to really feel held, which is the truth, that we are held in the oneness, the union with the mother, with the earth, with all of this, instead of feeling individuated and like we have to muscle and make everything happen, that there is really a larger container holding us and that we're handled, that we have to really drop into that. So that's the first purpose of nurturance. And the second is that right now in this doorway, it feels important to foster that so that we can hold this new frequency, the new frequencies that are coming through in our own beings, and give those birth, and really have within ourselves, recognize that we have the mechanisms to hold that so gently within ourselves, and to it, literally like nurturing, like pouring water on sweet little plants and saying, okay, blossom now, little one, like that. We have this beautiful emergence that's happening in that. So both purposes of receiving the nurturance, that we're moving into this new year where there's all this new growth possible, but we can't hang on to the old ways of crushing ourselves. We have to really develop habits of self-nurturance and allowing the nurturance, receiving nurturance.
Yes, and I know that some starting out on this path find that to be a challenge at times. How do we truly let go? So, what are some of the inhibitions that people have of letting go? There could be a scarcity when things come and change so completely in our lives. You know, for anyone going through it, whether it's an illness that is a wake-up call, or it's saying goodbye to old relationships that no longer serve, there could be something apprehensive about that. And so as we make these new choices, what can you say about doing it all in confidence, and that we are, when we do take this time to nurture ourselves, to be held in our essence and to be held in these frequencies, that everything's going to be all right? How can you help us express that confidence in that?
Well, that I think that's actually something that's not well understood in our evolutionary journey. That I mean, in the way that I see it, it is really about maturing into embodying the essence of love that we are. That's really the journey we're on. And the most concrete part of that is really to develop faith in love. I mean, and that's part of what I'm talking about, that the faith I mean, in my own journey in terms of healing my body, every time I would take a new step into a new threshold, there was always a challenge, a test, if you will, of faith. Are you really going to have faith in love in this moment, or are you going to go back to your old habits of fear and contraction and limitation? So in a way, the universe actually shows us, here's your next, which choice are you going to make here? And in a certain kind of way, there really is only two. And it's okay if we mess it up. That's the other thing, is I think we get all tense about it. No point getting tense about it. You just make the choice as you can. But there were some very intense moments where I was aware that every nerve in my body was shaking, like, no, I can't believe this. People are going to think this is crazy. All of our belief systems of, oh, are you going to just be woo-woo, or are you going to be grounded and real? And here's a responsibility, and here's what you should be doing. All of our conditioning, our indoctrination is so deep about what is okay and what's not. And oftentimes, my concern is being labeled woo-woo, because I was wanting to be grounded and responsible, and that had been the life I led. But we also have to shift our translation, or our interpretation of what responsibility really is. And I think people get very confused about that. So the best thing I can say is that it actually happens step by step. You don't have to worry about what's going to happen way in the future. Right here in front of you is your next step. So there's no like needing to manage something, as we have been programmed in a way in the future, etc. Just right here in the moment, showing up for every moment. It's so important not to leap way ahead, because that'll just freak out the ego. And to know that each step is given to you. And then even if you mess up, it's to forgive, tremendous self-compassion, forgive yourself. It'll come again. That test will come again. There's no question. You don't have to reset it up. You don't have to spend time beating yourself up. You just know the next step is coming. And that the more you nurture and love yourself, really love and embrace yourself as you are with great self-compassion, that you will pass the test. The universe wants you to succeed. So and gives you so much support in that. So it feels like mostly it's our programming that brings up fear and contraction, anxiety, trying to do it right, perfectionism. These are the things that drive us, and we think, oh, I'm not getting it right. There's kind of no right or wrong in this world. In the world of spirits, there's really no right or wrong. There's just do your very best and show up fully in this moment. That's really all that we're asked to do. It's so simple in a way.
Yes, it is so simple, isn't it? To be very present and immaculately aware of our emotions and our thoughts and our deeds and actions. And so here we are in this beautiful, powerful window of solstice. And yet we're also moving into this new year. And this is a year of an 8, which the infinity symbol shows us abundance and also the geometrics of the infinity of being centered. So can you share on the energetics of the next year from what you are given or what you know about this next year that we're stepping into? Do you have any insights?
Well, just what comes to me is that our definition of abundance is often been defined by our culture and our tribe, etc., and our world and mainstream consciousness. And abundance is a whole other story. And it feels like there is huge abundance arising, but we need to shift our belief system from what we think is abundance, which is often financial and physical abundance, to recognizing that emotional and spiritual abundance abound, and that we have been missing these things. Even relationships that offer us challenges is actually abundance, but we look at it as, oh, that's not loving and gentle, etc. But sometimes that's what we need for our next evolutionary step. And so it is abundance, but it is to change our perception of what abundance is, because I actually think, I'm glad you used that word, because I think there is a tremendous amount of abundance, and our role is to open to that and be
Yeah.
able to see what is truly abundance from a divine perspective, from our soul's perspective, you know?
Wow. As you are speaking, look at the images behind us. That's abundant.
Exactly.
That rose behind you, white and so full. That's abundance.
Exactly.
Jungle behind me is abundant. And so this makes me want to cry when I really feel abundance, because if we've got the blinders on looking and waiting for abundance to come in a dollar form or some way, or jobs or this sort of thing, we're missing all the other ways that abundance is coming into us, whether it's the bananas on a banana tree or the oranges on an orange tree. Abundance everywhere, the rain that flows, the snowflakes that fall. An abundance of love is actually what's speaking to my heart right now. So do you feel that really what's needed here is simply a surrender to love? When we say that we have faith in love, then we're surrendering to love. And some who are still in their head and in that way could think that that's a cop out, that it's just so easy to surrender to love. But when we look around at the new earth we're creating, that really is what's required. We're surrendering to a frequency. We're surrendering to a higher frequency of love, of compassion, of harmony, of joy, of peace. And so I can feel that right here in this gateway. And we like to say every day is solstice. Every day is Christmas. When we are so open to these frequencies, we can keep this doorway open every single day of the year. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's what I'm talking about, a shift. When you say surrender to love, the thing that comes to me is that's a surrender to the heart, about really allowing the heart, the divine feminine, to come forth to guide our lives. That we even in our exchanges that are difficult, that we come from our heart, and that we can hold the heart of compassion. That's really mastery of love, is to hold the heart of compassion instead of going to our minds in judgment because of differences or whatever we perceive as better, worse, right, wrong, etc. But holding in the heart and understanding that's the only place that we can actually come into union, and the appreciation of wholeness, in a sense, is through our hearts and also the womb. It is the divine feminine. And I think this is how what so many are talking about, the divine feminine is meant to lead this movement. It is really about moving into the heart, each of us individually, so the whole planet can move into that space where it's so beautiful and so rich. And abundance certainly a part of it, but love and the many realms of love and possibilities it's just endless. And that isn't isn't going to be possible if we keep trying to do it from our heads and figure things out and read up on things instead of understanding that our heart is guiding us in every moment. That's why we need to show up for the moment, for not just in our spiritual life, because it's not separate from everything that's happening in our lives. Every circumstance is being brought to us truly by our soul, through our heart essence, through those frequencies of knowing what's the highest for your own evolution, for your soul's growth on this planet during
Yeah.
this incarnation. So we are abundant in so many ways. I mean, I appreciate the ones you're bringing up. It's absolutely true. And I think if we began each day, really made this a practice in the new year of gratitude, right in the beginning when we first wake up, thank you for the things we can say, we would be overwhelmed, and then we'd start our day with an open heart. But usually we begin and we immediately wake up and we got our to-do list, or we got to start, like buzz right into life. But instead, if we that one simple habit would change things, I think, dramatically. Because the more we are grateful and see the abundance, more flows in because we notice it.
Yes, and you had a really good statement there where you said every day wake up and be grateful. That'll bring us in the heart. That was my next question to you, because I can hear so many in our audience asking, how do we get into the heart? And you said one of the ways, and it's gratitude, just being grateful for everything. Are there other ways, other techniques that you have discovered to get in to the heart, to be in the heart, to be present?
Well, I think oftentimes this is why I'm also saying to slow down, because when we're running in our lives and we have such a mindset about being productive and having our schedule booked, we don't actually take the time to breathe and stop for a minute and to feel like breathe all the way into the earth just for a few minutes. I mean, I encourage my students just to do this if they're at work, like go in the bathroom for a minute and breathe and ground in and feel your whole body for a moment. And just, it really doesn't take that long. But it changes your focus so that you're not, because the more anxious we get, the less resources, the less abundance we actually can receive. And receiving is half of what's happening on this planet, and we're really not very good at it. So it feels like in order to do that, we have to ground ourselves and breathe and open the pores, open our bodies, open the possibility. It's amazing what can happen when we actually notice and receive. We're all been trained also to give and to cut off receiving. And we have to be equally good at receiving, which is far more vulnerable than giving, which is much more about control. Interesting. And the patriarchal way of being and the receiving, I just can't, it's just a whole other world. Instantly, I can feel my womb open, the earth open when we receive. So we can receive from the earth or we can breathe into the earth, but really keep that channel going to stop for a moment. Even when we get gifts, for example, we've all been conditioned to say thank you, but do you feel like really feel what the intention behind it, and that the person really thought of you, whatever, that there's a deeper receiving of the gift rather than the conditioned thank you and just keeping it so superficial.
Yes, and so that's powerful. Here we are, where there's going to be gifts exchanged for those who exchange gifts. And that's really an important piece, and it helps us appreciate things. What also comes to mind as you speak is that when we get a compliment, so many light workers, especially women, why is it that we find it so hard to receive the compliment? That's very interesting. So we can shift this. And so when the next time one of us receives a compliment, what do you suggest that we do?
Well, I suggest we take a deep breath and actually, I mean, because I really appreciate you bring that up because it's interesting how quickly we close off it. It doesn't actually come into the heart. And it's a lot of our self-sublimation. I mean, this is part of what I teach in my self-love class is that it's a lot of the ways we've learned to reduce and minimize ourselves like we don't matter. And so in order to receive, and it can only really be done through the heart, is to take a deep breath into the heart, even if it's for a moment, and literally feel what's being given. That's beyond the physical gift, the vibrational, the energetic, the heart presence that's being given, which is far more, frankly, far richer, speaking of abundance, than the gift itself.
Yes, absolutely. And you have a wonderful gift for all of us that everyone is preparing to receive. Actually, this is going to lead off this day of activations and meditations. And so we're going to move into a meditation with you. You do explain a little bit about it in the beginning, but is there anything else that you want to say about this before we go there?
No, I think I did explain it at the beginning, and I think it is, I'm
Yeah.
trying to help people to understand the benefits tangibly within the body, like really feel, as we all know, after meditation, we feel better. To understand that we need to value that. We need to learn to value that equally to productivity on the outer, to understand that this is productivity on the inner, to receive and to soften into, and that actually allows us to receive more and to really, our lives are enriched in this way. And I feel like this is part of the shift into recognizing the divine feminine and valuing that, is to make room for nurturance, for receiving, for softening, for our heart engagement. And I know many people talk about this, and it's not easy. There's not easy tricks. So I just encourage, this is what I'm really trying to bring forth in this solstice window, is that it's not just about activation, it's about valuing ourselves, our hearts, like really seeing our own feelings and valuing and honoring ourselves in that arena, rather than just what we've done in the world and what success looks like, etc. It's all so important, Lauren, and it feels like that's what the new world is about, is valuing our own feelings, our own hearts, the compassion of the heart, that those qualities of empathy and compassion and generosity are equally important to our accomplishments in the world, equally important.
Yes, equally important. And so for those who are still working with some of the denser frequencies, or what I like to say, pity parties, sometimes, and especially in the holidays, we can go into a little pity party. But by being in this way of valuing how we feel, we can transmute some of those lower feelings by going into them and seeing, okay, I'm not feeling so great here. But then the flip side of that, once we get through that and to the other side, we feel so much better. It's like when you're feeling bad, you get in the car and go for a drive. We feel so much better being out in nature. So this is a gift for ourselves, isn't it? It's a gift
Yes.
for ourselves.
And this is part of the reason I did this meditation, is for us to really start build, I don't want to say build the muscle because that sounds kind of macho, but rather to soften into and be able to hold a larger container for ourselves in a gentle and tender way. Have that inside so that we can value the gentler and our own tenderness in many ways, through allowing the mother's love, which has been something we disconnected from, to really hold us so we don't feel like we have to do it alone. And when we have a bigger container there, we can be more forgiving, more compassionate, softer, and gentler with ourselves and others. But we have to really start to value that that's equally important to all the ways we've given value to outer accomplishments, etc.
So beautiful. All right. So Grace, thank you so much for this meditation that we're going to enjoy in just a moment. Before we start that, I want to have you talk about ways that people can work with you during this festive season. You've got some Christed Divine Feminine classes coming up, and one is coming up very soon here. All of those who are watching can just click the link that's on this webpage to learn more about it. But this is a live webinar with you that goes into the frequencies of this time.
Exactly. And it is really, I'm offering a healing circle with the feminine Christ, tomorrow. And yeah, it makes me feel, I could almost brings tears to my eyes because it's such a beautiful combination of bringing the beautiful and powerful momentum of the earth and the celebration of the earth, along with that of Christmas, which is the celebration traditionally of a Christ birth or a Jesus birth. But I feel like I like to use it as the opportunity for each of us to open our arms and open our hearts to our own Christ birth, to our own opportunity. This is opportunity for everyone. It gives everyone momentum through the the earth's amazing love and generosity and mysteries. Just the mystical element of the earth's presence gives so much momentum and juice in a way to our Christ birth, and recognizing that that's our inherent blueprint of being balanced in the masculine feminine, of being this vibrant, amazing light being, and being the emanation of love in our embodiment. It's all such a celebration of that. So tomorrow I'm doing a healing circle to heal some of our biggest blocks to that, and I'll be working on that obviously for quite some time. As soon as someone signs up for it, I start working the places where we're blocked, to that we can't see the magnitude of who we are, but in a very nurturing environment, because so much of the mother and the solstice, some of the biggest spiritual transitions that people could make are at the solstice. So to combine these two feels like such an opportunity. So I can't miss this this opportunity to give people this special offer, this healing circle of the feminine Christ.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. And again, if you are interested in that, please look on this webpage right here for the information to access that. Your time with Grace is really wonderful, and it's very affordable to spend this time with Grace and do this inner investment on yourself. Thank you. And there's other things coming up in 2024 as well, yes?
Yes, there is. I offer the liberation of self-love, from the Christ consciousness perspective, because it's a very deep, many people teach self-love, but I'm talking about balance, coming into balance between the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, so that we sort of can step up and become aware of the ways we are not honoring our masculine and our feminine, or the ways we've engaged in an indoctrinated behavior where we don't get that we're not actual, that we're the ones that are doing it, and then that it gets reflected back to us that we're not in balance. And so this is about stepping really deep inside and seeing, where am I doing this to myself? And if we can shift that, it shifts our whole world. It shifts our relationships. It shifts our relationship to the world, to the planet, to animals, to everything, when we shift the relationship between the masculine and feminine within ourselves. So that's really self-love, ultimately, to love ourselves, and to learn how to have a cohesive, mutually respectful relationship between and mutually reverential, devotional relationship between our divine masculine and divine feminine. It's so beautiful. In some of the moments of the self-love class, and again, I am removing trauma throughout the class that blocks our capacity to do that, in the ways that we shut down and started to do the indoctrinated way of beating ourselves up, not honoring ourselves, not seeing ourselves, etc. So that it's much easier, much more movement in terms of coming into that self-honoring relationship within ourselves.
So beautiful. Thank you for offering these items for the audience. I know that when people work with you, they absolutely love it. You've got great kudos coming in from many people, even spiritual teachers who are out there. You're a teacher of the spiritual teachers. So it's wonderful to watch and witness. Again, we invite those who are watching to check it out and join Grace. If it resonates with your heart at all, you'll find something very supportive in these programs with Grace. Okay, So now here we go. This is going to be the start of our meditation series for today's events. And we so honor you and we thank you. Sit back and enjoy these meditations. And we begin with Grace Galzagorry's meditation.
Thank you, Lorraine. I love you. Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm so happy to be with you today at this solstice doorway. Just feels like we are in such a momentum of the earth, of the mother that's coming forth this solstice and has been for a while, but is only amplifying. And it feels so important for us to move with that flow and move into that flow and merge into that flow so that we can feel sustained and held and safe despite all the changes that are happening, which calls for a really deep dropping into our own being and into that feminine embrace, into that mother embrace. So this solstice really feels like there's an unprecedented opportunity, as there often is at the solstice. Solstice always feels like a new year. This feels like the new year to me. This is where we begin in our communion with the earth, a new year and a new way of being. So the invitation this year is really to drop into even much, much more deeply into the nurturance of the mother so that we can find a place where we're held, so that all that's happening, the chaos and the challenges, the difficulties that so many are facing, that we don't feel alone in those challenges, that we can actually find sustenance, nurturance from the mother, and know that we're held, much like the birds and the animals on this beautiful planet know that they're held, like that they don't have to worry about everything and become hyper vigilant and try to protect and guard and isolate, that we also have that capacity and in ourselves to come into that kind of union where we are in a vibrational union merged with the mother's love, so we feel held and sustained and nurtured and feel that gentle embrace rather than feeling like we have to brace against everything that's happening. So this is what I would like to facilitate in this brief time that we have together through a meditation. And the keys here, I think, really are twofold. One is to embrace all that's arising, which is much easier said than done, given that many of the circumstances that arise in our lives are really a reenactment, if you will, of an old trauma or situation, bringing up the cellular memory in the body so that we can embrace that through this nurturance, through this feeling of being held, so knowing we're not alone, that this is an evolutionary leap that we are all taking together in community, in the interconnectivity of the whole, rather than as a separate, isolated being, which is how most people at this point, I mean, most of humanity is feeling most of the time. And so this leap is really to come into community and into the awareness of being a family of man, and a family not just of man, but of all beings on earth, all life forms on earth, to really feel that in our beings rather than feeling like we're isolated and separate and have to go it alone. So in order to do that, there's two things I wanted to highlight, and then I'll go into the meditation. One is to embrace with great compassion all that arises in our lives, meaning everything that's happening in our lives is actually pointing towards this deeper dropping into the mother. So it's asking us to really embrace the challenges, the painful challenges in our relationships, the old patterns, the same old ways that we've approached things, to be able to actually find a new way, a way of the heart, a way of the womb, a way of the mother, to embrace those and allow them to come to fruition and to be cleared so that we can approach our lives from a new place of freedom where we actually have choices to really receive the abundance of the mother, so we know we have unlimited choices rather than the very limited ways that we often live our lives out of fear, and because this is a familiar old habit. So in a lot of ways, the opportunity here is to embrace with great compassion all that arises in our lives, and in particular, some of the places we feel vulnerable and afraid, that we would know that we could be held through that, and that we're not alone in not only feeling vulnerable and afraid, but that we're not alone in overcoming these obstacles that have felt daunting, not only for us, but for our lineages that we've been born into in many ways. So that there is help here in the most unassuming places within our own beings, of knowing that we can reside in the mother's love and overcome those challenges. And the second point I want to make before we start the meditation is that gratitude is one of the ways for us to recognize, to begin our day, seriously, even before you get out of bed, to think about the things you are grateful for, and to make this a habit in the new year, so that you are able to hold the challenges and the situations that come up in relationship, that come up in your jobs, that come up in many of life circumstances that are arising right now, even in the ways we treat ourselves and feel less than, that we are able to find a place of compassion for that, and also of not feeling alone, of feeling like we are held in such abundance, in such generosity, in such spaciousness. So that's my goal today, that we would have some beautiful time together to do this meditation. So without any further ado, let us start meditation. I invite you to close your eyes and to just simply start breathing softly and gently into the heart. And noticing anything that arises, and just being willing to allow it to be. No efforting here, that we can really be gentle with what's arising. Setting our intention to be fully present here and to surrender into every moment of this meditation. And in that, discover even more of our authentic self. Discover more of what's arising through our beautiful hearts. Taking some beautiful and gentle breaths into the heart. With a heart full of compassion, we awaken here and call forth the Christed light that is currently present in this world, that is also present in your hearts. The beautiful light of compassion. We call in the angels. The compassion and the grace of the angels. And their softness, their willingness to be with us. And gently, softly, we continue to spiral, feeling the invitation of the heart. Noticing the greater light, the greater lightness of being that starts to emerge from the deeper, simply by surrendering in the deeper realms, the sanctuary of the heart, this beautiful, radiant heart. And noticing a beautiful brilliance that starts to shine through the depths of the heart. And then slowly and gently dropping like a leaf, falling and spiraling down the spine. Just allowing ourselves to be transported on this beautiful, buoyant clouds that feels the wispiness of love, of gentleness, of grace, allowing a greater relaxation and softening in the being, in our whole body as we float downwards towards the womb, towards our lower pelvis, towards the sacrum, the coccyx, just feeling this calling that began in the heart, that only gets louder as we move gently and softly towards the earth and this connection point with the earth. And just continuing to follow this beautiful spiral, floating like a leaf effortlessly. We open and continue to drop even more deeply into this calling, a gentle, gentle beckoning from the center of the earth that we find through the root chakra, moving into the pelvis. And in this beautiful invitation from Mother Earth to just relax and fall into her arms. We surrender and drop even more deeply through the softness and the dissolution, the dissolving of separation, into the gentle embrace of the Mother's arms, through the Earth Mother, just opening softly, effortlessly the portal in the second and the first chakras and into the earth through the root. Allowing a grand surrender here of everything we thought was true, of our lives, any challenges we're currently having in our relationship, just allowing this to drop, to surrender this into the Mother's love, and feeling the Mother embracing and holding this beautiful container, this beautiful crystalline vortex in the depths of the earth that reaches up and embraces us and holding us through the lower pelvis until we merge with and become one with this love, with this gentleness, with this grace. Allowing ourselves to soften all the edges of our isolation, of our self-protection, of our wanting to do it alone, of our self-reliance, and just being willing for this moment to surrender this into this greater sanctuary of the Mother. And as we soften, noticing that we start to feel a greater resonance with all that surrounds us in this very moment. Finding ourselves sitting in a beautiful garden, a garden of nature, and noticing the softness and the beautiful ways in which each of the creatures of this garden are dancing harmoniously with one another. Noticing the butterflies, the the softness, the grace, the ease of flitting and flying freely and moving to the rhythm, the momentum of the mother, easefully, effortlessly, and we merge gently and softly, dissolving even more deeply into this beautiful nature sanctuary, this Garden of Eden that resides within our very being, embraced by Mother Earth. We notice the rose, and bring our awareness into the rose and into the rose that's arising through our own sacrum. And as we spiral even more deeply into this beautiful red rose in the sacrum, noticing that the abundance of the earth arises and embraces and encircles and enfolds all that is held in our seemingly separate pelvis, and allowing all the beliefs and the patterns of separation to simply melt now into this embrace of the red rose, recalling the beautiful generosity of Mother Earth, calling in all the ancient mothers, all the remembrance within our own selves of being one with that ancient mother, and feeling immediately how we can gradually and easily become one and dissolve into this beautiful love, into this beautiful nurturance of the ancient mother. Feeling at one here with the beautiful devas, with the essence, the smells, the delicacy, the fragrance, the rose, and just organically allowing the remembrance to soothe ourselves, to soothe all the holding, the ways we've been afraid, just through our willingness, just our willingness to surrender the old and allow and open into just feeling held, this beautiful nectar, feeling all of our senses coming alive, spiraling even deeper into the sense of smell, feeling and allowing the bones in our lower body and our legs to open, to dissolve, to melt into this remembrance of the ancient mother and her abundance, to her tremendous wisdom, merging into that wisdom, into this ancient remembrance of being held, being one, with her compassion, her grace, and her infinite love. And through this connection to her infinite beautiful droplets of the nectar of the rose. Through every bone in the lower body, through the muscles and the tissues, feeling the mother reaching out in tremendous forgiveness for all the distortions, lack of understanding, the ways of separation that we've adopted, just trying to survive. Feel the mother's breath just gently breathing new life into our cells and allowing now our whole body to become engaged in this beautiful embrace. Of receiving this nurturance, of receiving this nectar of the mother, this remembrance of wholeness and oneness with the all that we have known, just allowing the deep relaxation and the gratitude that naturally just pours forth from the heart. And even in the gratitude, noticing the mother's gratitude for your courageous self, for your willingness to be here and to receive her grace, to receive forgiveness, to receive her wisdom, and in that, falling into the oneness with the beautiful devas, receiving the solidity of the ancient stones and the bones, receiving the grace of the sacred waters, and allowing all the misconceptions and misunderstanding to just be washed away and cleansed, and easily and effortlessly just allowing it to drop away. Resting for a moment in this beautiful nurturing space of oneness, of divine union, of feeling like everything is perfectly okay. That you are divine perfection, divine wisdom, divine oneness, divine grace. Just resting for a moment in this beautiful sanctuary of oneness and of gentleness. In the nectar, the essence of the rose, the infinite wisdom of the rose. Allowing even another layer, a much deeper layer to emerge here, and opening into receiving even more of your very self that's unfolding in this container of safety, in this beautiful vortex of crystalline love, of the crystalline waters. Of your own divine origins. setting an intention here to continue to receive in this beautiful opening of the petals of the rose, to know that you are safely held here in all circumstances, in all of life, simply by acceptance, by embracing, and by falling even deeper in every circumstance that life brings your way in the new year. And now gently and softly bringing your awareness back into the contours of your body, just being aware of this deep softness, this deep and infinite space of unlimited abundance, unlimited joy, unlimited grace within, and simultaneously being aware of being in this apparent vessel of the body in your current life. And we bow with great gratitude to our very own soul for this opportunity to be here together at this solstice, to be here together on earth. We bow to Mother Earth. We bow to the Ancient Mother. Gratitude for the blessings of her grace and her love to hold us through whatever life brings our way. And so it is. Gently and softly opening your eyes. When you're ready, I invite you to stay in this space if you would like for a while. And I thank you for joining me. Sending you all my love.
So shine, so shine, shine bright, so shine, so shine, shine bright.